Ohio. Montenegro, the state in Southeast Europe, in the west of the Balkan Peninsula. The smallest in area and on the population among the Slavic states and also on the Balkan Peninsula. Without partially recognized Kosovo. From the southwest it is washed by the Adriatic Sea, has overland borders with Croatia in the west, Bosnia and Herzegovina in the northwest, Serbia in the northeast, partially recognized Republic of Kosovo in the east and Albania in the southeast. Before declaration of full independence on June 3, 2006, the country was a part of the Confederative State Union of Serbia and Montenegro, occupying 13.5% of his cumulative territory. In 2010 I acquired the official status of the candidate country index of the European Union. Since 2017, the DIC of Hato uses euro, without entering the Eurozone. One of the capitals and the largest city, Podgorica. The historical and cultural capital of Montenegro is the city of Cetinje. Serbian Crna Gora designated the most part of modern Montenegro in the 15th century. Originally it belonged only to a small strip of the earth where there lived the tribe of Apastrovica, but subsequently began to be used for a designation of wider mountainous area where the dynasty Chernovici governed. The above-mentioned area became known as Old Montenegro. The Serbian I am Old Crna Gora. In the 19th century, unlike recently acquired birds, uplands territory. During the Balkan Wars of the beginning of the 20th century, Montenegro broadened the territory several times, in particular at the expense of territories of Montenegro-Herzegovina, Metohija and the southern Raška. The territory of the country can be divided into three parts conditionally. The coast of the Adriatic Sea, rather flat central part on which two of her largest cities are located. Podgorica and Nikšić, and mountain systems of the east of the country. Extent of overland borders of the state is 614 km. In the west with the Republic Croatia -14 km. In the northwest with Bosnia and Herzegovina -225 km. In the northeast with the Republic Serbia and Kosovo -203 km. In the southeast with the Republic Albania -172 km. The continental coastline of Montenegro has extent about 300 km. Montenegro possesses 14 sea islands which cumulative extent of the coastline is 15.6 km. In the southwest of the country there is a large Gulf Boka Kotorska having the area of a surface of the water of 87.3 km. And crashing into the land on 29.6 km. Extent of beaches of Montenegro -73 km. Temperature of sea water within 7 months fluctuates in the range from +12 up to +26 C. The transparency of sea water in places exceeds 35 m. The longest rivers of Montenegro. Tera, 144 km. Lim, 123 km. Čekotina, 100 km. Morik, 99 km. Zet, 65 km. And Bojana, 30 km. About 52.2% of the Montenegro rivers belong to the basin of the Black Sea, 47.8% the Adriatic Sea. Fuling and Zeta on all the extent flow across the territory of Montenegro. Adige Mui was the only navigable river of Montenegro earlier. Currently it isn't navigable. The majority of the river's mountain form deep canyons. A canyon of the Tera River about 1200 m in depth, the deepest in Europe. The rivers of Montenegro have energy potential of 115 U on 1 km. Territories that is very high rate. However, for various reasons, including ecological, the hydropower in the country isn't developed. The largest lake of Montenegro and all Balkan Peninsula Skadarsko. The total area of his surface of the water is 369.7 km. 2/3 of the lake on the area are in the territory of Montenegro, 1/3 in the territory of Albania. The second in area, the Lake Shasko, 3.64 km. Near Ulsan. Also there are 29 small mountain lakes of glacial origin, so-called mountain eyes, which total area is 3.89 km. More than 41% of the space of the country is occupied by the woods and forest lands, 39.58% pastures. Flora is various. In total in the territory of the country 2833 plant species, from them 212 endemics of the Balkan Peninsula and 22 endemics of Montenegro are recorded. According to the Constitution, the Republic is the eco-friendly state. Under various nature protection modes there are 8. 1% of the territory, including National Reserves Dermitor, Lovchen, Bayatan Mountain, Lake Skadar and Prokleti. In northern Montenegro climate moderately continental, on the Adriatic coast, Mediterranean. In seaside areas summer usually long hot, +23, +25 C. And rather dry, winter short and cool, +3, +7 C. In mountainous areas moderately warm summer, +19, +25 C. And rather cold winter, from +5 to 10 C. Rainfall dropout generally in the form of snow. Snow cover keeps up to 5 months in a year. The amount of precipitation on average in the country, from 500 to 1500 m a year, in mountains near the sea coast in places drops out over 3000. The number of the sundial in a year. In Igala -2386, in Ulsan -2700. Montenegro arose as the independent state in the 18th century, the first of Balkan countries having separated from the Ottoman Empire. The city of Cetinje was the capital. In such locate existed before World War I, after which in 1918 the Kingdom Montenegro was a part of the Kingdom of Serbians, Croats and Slovenes. From the moment of disintegration of Yugoslavia, on April 27, 1992, I existed as a part of the Federal Republic Yugoslavia, which on February 4, 2003 became the State Union of Serbia and Montenegro. After the referendum on independence of Montenegro, on May 21, 2006, as a result of which 55.5% of voters voted for a republic exit from the Union on June 3, 2006. Montenegro declared independence. The present capital, Podgorica, the main town, Cetinje. In the 6th century, Slavs come to the lands of Montenegro and mix up with local Illyrian tribes. 1042, after the victory over Byzantines, the Serbian state of Tukulja is proclaimed. 1077, the Pope Gregory VII recognizes the state of Tukulja and the title Rex Dioclea, King Dukli. Grants to her first governor Prince Mikhail from a dynasty Voislavishi. After that, the state begins to be called Zeta. 1185, Zeta is attached to Rashka. 1326, restoration of independence of Zeta. After defeat of the neighboring Moravian Serbia in fight on the Kosovo field on June 15, 1389, there is a danger of the Turkish capture. Sometime it's possible to be saved from it thanks to Protectorate of the Venetian Republic, which took control of a part of Montenegro Primorje in 1420. 1485, the bassist Prince Ivan Chernojevic of the new capital of the Principality, Cetinje. 1496, Montenegro accepts Protectorate of the Ottoman Empire, but never entirely gets under her power. Turks controlled only southeast territories of the former Zeta. In 1516-1852, Montenegro is the theocratic state which is ruled by lords, princes with a church title of the bishop. The capital of the state is in her church center, Cetinje. 1852, Montenegro becomes the secular state. Lord Danilo II from a dynasty Petrović Negotia proclaims himself the Prince Danilo I, his successor Nicola. 1841-1921. The King. 1910. On March 3, 1878, under the San and Stefanski peace treaty, Montenegro increases the territory due to the former Turkish possession. On July 13, 1878, according to the Berlin Treaties, Montenegro is recognized by the 27th sovereign state of the world. Her new territorial possession are partially approved. On August 28, 1910, in anniversary year of the 50th anniversary of the reign, following the all-European tradition and also strengthening the majestic power, Nicola I proclaims the Principality Montenegro the kingdom and becomes his first king. In 4 years, on the eve of World War I, he appropriates emergency powers of the autocratic monarch. In 1912-1913, the country is involved in the First and Second Balkan Wars. During World War I, it is occupied by Austro-Hungarian troops. Since 1916. In 1918, it is released by the Serbian army. 1918, after renunciation of Nicola's throne. On October. Great National Assembly on November 26 votes for the entry of the country in structure of the Kingdom of Serbians, Croats and Slovenes, under control of the Serbian royal dynasty. 1919-1924, the Christmas Revolt mines the Serbian board. On June 12, 1941-1943, after the German-Italian occupation of Yugoslavia, Montenegro formally is the kingdom under Protectorate of Italy. Actually, the king wasn't appointed, and Sekula Trovic was the head of collaborationist administration. 1943-1944, under the German occupation. 1944-1945, under control of the Yugoslavian guerrillas. On January 31, 1946, on April 27, 1992, the Socialist Republic of Montenegro as a part of SFRU. On a referendum on March 1, 1992, 95.96% of voters voted for the introduction and structure of the updated Yugoslavia. In total, 66% of the citizens of SFRU living in Montenegro, while Albanians, the Bosnians and Croats living in the Republic declared boycott to elections, participated in vote. On April 27, 1992, on June 3, 2006, as a part of the Federal Republic Yugoslavia, which on February 4, 2003 became the State Union of Serbia and Montenegro. In the late 90s, the Montenegro leader Milo Đukanović from the colleague Slobodan Milosevic turned into his irreconcilable opponent that attracted at once the international community and the Serbian opposition on his party. Đukanović demanded from Milosevic to reserve the right for independent foreign policy for Montenegro in the beginning, and subsequently set as the purposeful independence. Then finding of legal independence by her was prevented by the European Union. In 2000, Montenegro passed to DAM, and since January 2002, euro became official monetary unit of the country. The state community of Serbia and Montenegro was created with the most active participation of Javier Solana. According to the constitutional charter of the new state, in February 2005 elections to his legislative assembly had to take place, and since 2006 the republics acquired the right for holding a referendum on independence. However, elections didn't take place. The president of such Montenegrin, Sveta Zomarovic, didn't appoint date of their carrying out, referring to lack of the legislative base. As a result, since the beginning of March 2005, after the expiration of mandates, deputies of Parliament of Community, his ministers and the president from the legal point of view became individuals. Approximately in the same time, Đukanović and the Montenegro president Filip Vujanović made the new plan about transformation of the state community into the Union of the Independent States. Opinions of the Serbian authorities were about it shared. While the Prime Minister Vojislav Koštunica rejected this offer, the President of Serbia Boris Tadić said that it can be considered. In Serbia, popular belief that Đukanovic's aspiration to independence hides purely personal reasons, desire to avoid responsibility in connection with the investigation which is conducted in Italy on suspicion of participation in smuggling and communications with the Italian mafia. Serbia also specifies that the separation of Montenegro can become a legal argument in favor of independence of Kosovo, as under the resolution of the Union Security Council No. 1244 of Kosovo is recognized as a component of the Federal Republic Yugoslavia, and respectively her successor, the state community of Serbia and Montenegro, but not Serbia. After declaration of independence, Montenegro began to build up the international relationship anew. Negotiations between the authorities of Montenegro and opposition on conditions of holding a referendum went since the beginning of 2006. Originally, the opposition opposing independence of Montenegro refused flatly to discuss even the idea of holding a referendum. The European Union offered the mediation. The intermediary mission was assigned to the special representative of the EU Miroslav Lajčák. During further discussion, the opposition accepted the idea of a referendum and settled with ruling coalition terms of his carrying out. Nevertheless, there were divergences on a key question about the majority necessary for decision-making. According to the Montenegro law on a referendum, for decision-making it was necessary to collect 50% plus one vote participating in a referendum at an obligatory appearance in 50%. The opposition demanded to provide participation in a referendum not only of the population of Montenegro, but also the Montenegrins living in Serbia. In these conditions Miroslav Lajčák offered the formula. The European Union recognizes independence of Montenegro if 55% of number participating in a referendum vote for her. This formula caused impassioned negative reaction in Montenegro. The Prime Minister Milo Đukanović warned that she bears in herself danger to stability of Montenegro. The referendum on independence in Montenegro was held on May 21, 2006. The turnout of voters exceeded 86%, and the referendum was officially declared valid. By results of a referendum, the majority of votes was given for separation from Serbia. By that moment Montenegro already had currency, separate of Serbia, and customs border with her. 55.4% of the voters who took part in vote supported independence, minus 44.6%. On June 3, 2006, Skupština Parliament of Montenegro declared independence of the Republic. On June 15, 2006, independence of Montenegro is recognized by Serbia, and at the end of June Montenegro is admitted to the Union. On October 22, 2007, the Constitution of Montenegro was published. In 2008, after recognition of independence of Kosovo by Montenegro, representatives of the Serbian opposition left parliament and declared the beginning of non-parliamentary fight against Milo Đukanović's regime. On December 15, 2008, Montenegro submitted the application about the accession to the European Union, despite the territorial claims to Montenegro from Bosnia and Herzegovina concerning Sutorin region solved only on August 26, 2015. In October 2016, in day of parliamentary elections, there was an alleged attempt of a coup of which organization the country leaders accused a group of citizens from Serbia, Montenegro and Russia. On October 20, 2007, the Constitution of Montenegro was adopted. According to the first article of the Constitution, Montenegro is the free, democratic, eco-friendly state of social justice founded on the principles of rule of law. According to Economist Intelligence Unit, the country in 2018 was classified under the Index of Democracy as the hybrid mode. According to the Constitution, the power is divided into legislative, executive and judicial. The president formally isn't a part of the system division of the authorities. The legislature belongs to Skupština, parliament of the country, and executive power, to the president, and the government of Montenegro, to Vlada. All these power structures are in the capital. The president is elected for a 5-year term during the universal direct ballot. From May 22, 2003 to May 22, 2018, the post of the President of Montenegro was held by Filip Vujanović. Skupština, unicameral parliament of the country, consists of 81 deputies. Deputies are elected by national vote for a period of 4 years. Elections take place on a proportional system. 76 deputies are elected plus 5 Albanian representatives move forward from the Albanian minority. Executive power is carried out by the government. Vlada. The structure of the government is approved by Skupština according to the proposal of the President. Judicial system 2-level. The Supreme Court of Montenegro provides unity of law enforcement practice in all territory of the Republic. Besides the 2-level judicial system, there is also Constitutional Court. After declaration of independence in 2006, Montenegro established diplomatic relations with 179 member states of the Union and also partially recognized Palestine, Kosovo and the Order of Malta. At the end of March 2014, Montenegro, having the status of the official candidate for the accession to the EU, declared accession to sanctions against Russia. The sources and specified 1638 days. On June 2, 2016, Montenegro in addition imposed sanctions against 149 citizens of Russia and Ukraine. The leadership of Montenegro also headed for rapprochement with NATO. For this purpose, representatives of Montenegro and NATO signed in May 2016 the protocol on the entry of the country in the bloc. After signing of this protocol, Montenegro received the status of the observer at all meetings of NATO. By May 12, 2017, all NATO member states ratified the protocol on the accession of Montenegro to the alliance. On June 5, 2017, in the building of the United States Department of State in Washington, there took place the official ceremony of accession of Montenegro to alliance. Both executive and legislative authorities of Montenegro are controlled by the Coalition for the European Montenegro, DDC, and Social Democratic Party of Montenegro. The territory of Montenegro is divided into 24 communities. The Chernigar, the Serbian, Opština/Opština. Communities are called by names of their central cities. According to a census of 2003, 620,145 people. Annual gain of 3.5%. Live in Montenegro. National structure of the population. Montenegrins -43.16%. Serbians -31.99%. Bosniaki. Bosnians -7.77%. Albanians -5.03%. Muslims -3.97%. Croats -1.10%. Roma -0.42%. Yugoslavs -0.30%. Serbian -63.6%. Montenegro language -22%. Bosnian -5.5%. Albanian -3%. Other languages -3.7%. Religion. Orthodoxy -74.24%. Islam -17.74%. Catholicism -3.54%. According to a census on April 1, 2011 was considered 620,029 inhabitants. Montenegrins -44.98% of all considered population. Are 47.28% from specified nationality. Serbians -28.73% of all considered population. Are 30.20% from specified nationality. Bosniaki. Bosnians -8.71% of all considered population. are 9. 16% from specified nationality. Albanians minus 4.91% of all considered population. Are 5.16% from specified nationality. Muslims. Serbian. Musliman. Minus 3.31% of all considered population. Are 4.28% from specified nationality. Roma minus 1.01% of all considered population. Are 1.06% from specified nationality. Croats minus 0.97% of all considered population. Are 1.02% from specified nationality. Others minus 2. 52% of all considered population. Are 2.64% from specified nationality. Didn't specify minus 4.87% of all considered population. Serbian minus 42.88% of all considered population. Are 44.67% from specified native language. Montenegro language minus 36.97% of all considered population. At 38.51% from specified native language. Bosnian. Bosanski/Bosniakskia. Minus 5.93% of all considered population. Are 6. 17% from specified native language. Albanian minus 5.27% of all considered population. Are 5.49% from specified native language. Serbo-Croatian language minus 2.03% of all considered population. Are 2.11% from specified native language. The Gypsy language minus 0.83% of all considered population. Are 0.85% from specified native language. Croatian minus 0.45% of all considered population. Are 0. 47% from specified native language. Russian minus 0.17% of all considered population. Are 0.17% from specified native language. Other languages minus 1.48% of all considered population. Are 1.54% from specified native language. Didn't specify minus 3.99%. Feature of Montenegro is the dualism of national consciousness. Montenegrins are made related with Serbians by language. Montenegro most of the population is considered a dialect Serbian, see results of poll on the native language. Religion. Orthodox Christianity. And the general milestones of history. About a half of the respondents mentioned in results of a census of 2003 as Montenegrins in questionnaires were written by the Montenegrin, the Serbian, or Montenegrin Serbian. Orthodoxy minus 74.00%. From specified religious affiliation. Islam minus 19.62%. Catholicism minus 3.53%. Atheism minus 1.27%. Advantages. Successfully passed to stable market economy. Low inflation. 0.9%. Rather high rates of economic growth. Above an average across Europe. And a low public debt. Below an average across Europe. still rather cheap and well educated in comparison with the countries of Europe. Labor. In the conditions of sharp falling of unemployment rate and strengthening of deficiency of labor, growth of the salary as of 2019 isn't contained by economic slowdown. Weaknesses. Poor source of raw materials. Strong corruption. Slowly progressing market reforms. Small volume of investment into infrastructure and research and development. The biggest problem inherent also to other rather poor countries of Europe, the deficiency of able-bodied labor increasing every year, and growth of number of pensioners, in connection with low birth rate and high emigration of the population in others, richer, the countries of the world. DDD volume on PPS of Montenegro for 2014 was 9.423 billion minus 151 places in the world. About $, per capita, the 103rd place in the world. The rates of economic growth recorded in 2014, about 1.5%. The 166th place in the world. Revenues of the state budget for 2014, $1.56 billion, account minus $1.63 billion, budget deficit minus 1.5% of VVV. Monetary unit Euro. However, without being a DIC of the Eurozone, the country has no right to emit euro and is forced to be content with the money arriving from abroad. In particular, from foreign tourists. Following the results of 2014, deflation minus 0.7% is recorded. The nature of economy, market. In volume of DDD, the share of industrial production for 2013 makes 21.2%, services sectors minus 70.5%, agriculture minus 8.3%. At the same time in the industry 17.9% are engaged in agriculture minus 5.3% and in services sector minus 76.8% of the working population. Total number of able-bodied population minus people. The 164th place in the world. Unemployment rate minus 18.5%. The 162nd place in the world. As of May 2021, the average amount of compensation in Montenegro is Euro 792. $938.84 gross. And Euro 530. $628.26 net. In a month. Since July 1, 2021, the minimum wage, net, makes Euro 250. The CATSA index. A ratio between minimum and the average salary in the country. Since July 2021 makes average €530 and the minimum €250. About 47%. For 2013, the share of industrial production in structure of DDD made 21.2%. More than 2/3 of this volume are the share of metallurgy. At the same time, the number occupied in the industry is less, minus 17.9% of able-bodied population. Growth rates are higher than on economy in general, about 4.5% for 2013. Traditionally, the basis of the economy of Montenegro was made ferrous metallurgy. The center, Nikšić. Aluminum processing. Podgorica. The electrotechnical industry. Cetinj. The textile industry. Bielopol. Shipbuilding and ship repair. Baila Bar. The light and food industry. Nikshik Bar. Woodworking. Rashai Bahrain Plavlia Nikshik. The major minerals are bow, iron ore and coal. The primary industrial activity is connected with tobacco cultivation, extraction of salt and aluminum production. The main crops are grain, potatoes, tobacco, grapes, a citrus, olives and a fig. At the time of Yugoslavia, Montenegro was the subsidized Republic of Federation. Considerably national economy was loosened by wars of the beginning of the 1990th years, in which Montenegro was on side of Serbia and which followed an isolation of small Yugoslavia. Despite it, by the beginning of the old years Montenegro could find itself on the international scene, having become attractive object of tourism, both summer and winter. Since then in the country significant economic growth is annually observed. In 2014 the tourism revenue of the country was 20% of GDP. Experts predict annual growth in incomes for 7.7% within the next 10 years. The international resorts in the cities of Herceg-Novi, Budva, Bačići, Petrovac and also historical and natural sites, the city of Kotor on the bank of the Kotorski Gulf, the former capital of Cetinj, Lake Skadar, Mount Lovćen, the mountain monastery jail, the Tera River Canyon are very popular. The biggest in Europe and the second in the world. Its depth reaches 1300 m. National Park Dermitar and his ski resorts Obliek, 1465 meters above sea level, are the most mountain city in the Balkans. The policy of the state is aimed at all-round development of the tourist sphere. She was given a priority before the industry and agriculture. In particular, says declaration of Montenegro as the eco-friendly state about it. The volume of foreign trade for 2014, $28.06 million. Export. Aluminum, vessels, vehicles, food and wine. Import. Fuel, machines and equipment, consumer goods. Geographical distribution of foreign trade of Montenegro. For 2014. Greater than. EU countries minus 44.0%. $12.38 million. The countries of Africa minus 14%. $0.5 billion. China minus 6.4%. $179 million. Turkey minus 0%. $55 million. The countries of America minus 1.9%. $53 million. Russia minus 0.3%. $10 million. In Montenegro there is a number of considerable cultural and historical sites, including monuments of the pre-Roman period, Romance art, a Gothic style and Baroque. The Montenegro coastal region is especially known for the cult monuments, including St. Trifon's Cathedral, St. Luca's Basilica, St. John the Baptist's Cathedral in Budva, the Temple of the Mother of God on Rock, Škrpela, Savin's Monastery, the Tenski Monastery and others. This area, which is called sometimes the Venetian Montenegro or the Venetian Albania, is full of the Venetian architecture. Generally it is Kataro, Kotor, and Parasto. The ancient city of Kotor is entered in the UNESCO World Cultural Heritage List. The Byzantine influence in architecture and religious art is especially noticeable in an internal part of the country. The most part of architecture of Montenegro, Byzantine, Latin or Venetian, Gothic, Romance, Baroque, and Ottoman. The literary page of culture of Montenegro is connected with creation in the second half of the 12th century of the first written monuments. Chronicles by the priest Duklyanin and the Gospel by Miroslav, the Montenegro word began with them. The culture of Montenegro received a new round of development in the 15th century after introduction in society by the governor Georgi Chernojevic and the celibate priest Makari. The press, the first work gathered on which was a book, Ottok Prvoglasnik. The next centuries are characterized by emergence of the new literary names, in the creativity expressing unshakable spirit of the Montenegro people, the poet and the doctor of divinity Andrija Zmajevic, writers and governors Pajat I and Pajat II Petrovic. Negotia. Poets Risto Rotkovic, Radovan Zagovic, the prose writer Mikhailo Lalic and others treats their number. The end of the 19th century became triumphal for Montenegro theatre, works by local and foreign authors with notices passed in 5 theatres of the country. After World War II the theatre began to give in Montenegro, to be exact to the Yugoslavian cinema culture. The monument to Vysotsky 5S is established in Podgorica near Millennium Bridge. On these lines of the poem in 2 languages are beaten out. In Montenegro there is an action of the Russian adventure movie of Columns Montenegro. Possibly the most known mention of Montenegro in world culture, not to flatter, is connected with the operetta. Montenegro served as a prototype of Principality of Pantaverdo, which citizens are operettas by F. There are many of characters, the cheerful widow. The railroad has 2 main directions. On the north from Podgorica to the Serbian Belgrade and Nikšić, and to the south from Podgorica to Bar. City transport in Montenegro is developed poorly. Long-distance bus transportations because of decay of transport and a mountainous relief of the country are often carried out not according to the schedule. In the country 2 international airports function. The Podgorica airport is focused generally on regular flights, and Tivat on charter. The national airline of Montenegro, Airlines of Montenegro, performs flights to the cities of Europe. There take place many sports competitions. In soccer the championships in several leagues are held. From the Summer Olympic Games of 2008 in Beijing, Montenegro acts as the separate national team. In 2012 in London the Olympic Award, the first in the history of independent Montenegro, was brought to the country by the women's national team on handball, having won silver. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.